Sox jersey out. Got my hat though.
Perfect. All righty. Okay, council. I see it being 6 o'clock. So with that, I'll call the West Williston City Council meeting to order for October 5th at 6 p.m. And I'd like to ask Stephanie to call the roll after she reads our virtual meeting rules.
All right, thank you. Please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you would like the mayor to use. You can change this by right-clicking on the 3 dots in the upper corner of your video view and clicking Rename. If you have an unstable internet connection, please also connect through the phone. That will allow you to continue to participate even if you lose internet connection. If you call in after you've joined on video, click the arrow between mute and video, and there is a button for switch to phone audio. Clicking this button provides a participant ID. Please call in with that ID, as then your phone is associated with your video. We will mute everyone until a designated comment period. When the chair asks for public comments, if you raise your virtual hand, he will call on you and you will be unmuted. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hand. If you are participating by phone only, press *9 to raise your hand. All right, roll call. Brent Gary.
Here.
Richard Bloom.
Here.
Fred Brink.
Here.
Rich Buell. Unmute.
And I'm here now.
Gail Brown.
Here.
David Fetto.
Here.
Kate Moran.
Present.
And John Smart.
Here. Okay, thank you, Stephanie, appreciate it. So with that, I would ask Councilmember Brown to lead us in Pledge of Allegiance this evening. And if you'd please give Stephanie some time to mute everybody, and then you can go ahead and
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you, Gail. Appreciate it.
Mine went blank. I have to practice that stuff. Got to tell me ahead of time.
Yeah, after we get out of the routine, it's you used to not think about things, you just did them, right? The new normal. Perfect. Council, the agenda is before you. May I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda as presented?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carried unanimous. Thank you, council. We do not have any presentations this evening, which brings us to the consent agenda, which consists of approving the minutes of the regular and special meetings on September 21st, 2021. Motion authorizing the mayor to execute Public Works Trust Fund loan contract for well number 2. Resolution 4221 declaring lot number 5, ROS number 5496 surplus, and authorized direct sale to Benton REA. Motion authorizing the mayor to execute a PSA purchase and sales for lot 5, ROSA number 5496 with Benton REA. Resolution 4321 amending master fee schedule, park impact fees. Resolution 4421 authorizing the mayor to sign a security and improvement agreement. Motion to approve final plat Heights at Red Mountain Phase 3. Resolution 4521 amending master fee schedule for garbage rates. Ordinance 2421 amending Appendix A of Ordinance 2-10 transportation impact fees. If there's anyone from the audience who would like to speak to the consent agenda this evening, if you would please raise your hand or *9 on your phone, you'll be recognized, and Stephanie will unmute you for your comments. Got a lot of people on board this evening, Stephanie. I see no one with their hands up, however.
I also do not see anyone.
Okay, very good. With that, council, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Excuse me. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. This brings us up to our first opportunity for citizens' comments for items not on the agenda this evening. If you would like to provide comments, please raise your hand. City clerk will unmute you, and you have 3 minutes to provide your comments to council. I see no one. Stephanie, how about you?
I do not see anyone either. And just a refresher, so if you wish to raise your virtual hand, you'd select participants, and then the option to raise your hand should be there.
Thank you for updating clarifications. And I see Lloyd up in the corner there. Stephanie, would you please unmute Lloyd? Do you have a video, sir? Oh, she's working on you. Just a second. Should we ask him to try to unmute, Stephanie?
There I am.
There he goes.
He has been found. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
First, I would like to commend the city council on the going forward with the Tri-City Raceway. I moved out here on Red Mountain Road in 1999, enjoyed the races. However, that came to an end, and I was very glad to see them start up again. However, the traffic plan, if there was one for that weekend event, was very poor, if at all. The traffic jam was exceptional. I have 2 kids that were coming from Richland. One stopped at Dairy Queen to pick up some items for our dinner, while the other one continued on. She sat in traffic on Keene at Van Giesen, while the other one took Kennedy Road around to Benton City. He actually got to our house on Red Mountain Road before my daughter got through the traffic on Keene and Van Giesen. With that, I would propose a suggestion. The city coordinate with WashDOT to extend the 2-way left turn lane past the new police department to the racetrack entrance. As well, from the racetrack entrance west, add a right turn only lane 1,000 feet from the entrance. As well, post no parking signs on both sides of the street for the length of that construction, so that in the future there won't be any cars parked on the side of the road during the races, and it would help move traffic along. I suggest that, not being a traffic engineer, but I think that would be something the city should contact WashDOT and try to arrange.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Is there anyone else? Normally, I would wait until, oh, hopefully it didn't go away. Oh, there. Normally, I'd wait till the end of the meeting, and during staff announcements, staff could address any comments that were made in regards to citizens' public comment. However, I'm going to ask Eric as well as Roscoe to share a little bit about what the plans are as move forward with this process. Yes, it something that happened 17 years ago happened this weekend, and I think everybody was certainly overwhelmed. So Eric, let council know now, as well as the public, what the follow-up meetings and plans are going to be. And then Roscoe, you can touch on the SR 224 project, which is going to certainly be beneficial. And you also heard that we've authorized sales and purchase with Benton REA. And Roscoe, you can touch a little bit about some of the abilities we're going to have with 2 ways in and out of there from now on. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, the event went off with way more people than they ever thought they were going to show up. They sold 3,000 tickets, and they probably had way more than that show up for the event. We learned a lot in the first day as far as what went wrong, and we try to correct those for day 2. But obviously, the Red Mountain Event Center wasn't able to address everything overnight, but they did the best that they could. We do have a meeting with them later this week to go over what went well, what went wrong, what we need to do better for next time, and address a lot of those concerns. Definitely traffic is #1 on their list. Parking is another item because of what happened on SR 224. They did try to coordinate with WashDOT in advance of the event, but that fell through. So we're going to be pushing a little harder for next time to get WashDOT engaged to make sure that that comes off without a hitch for next go. But man, what an awesome event. I went out there with my family on Saturday, truly had a good time, saw a lot of cool stuff. Went out Sunday just to do some, I wore a different hat Saturday than I did Sunday. Saturday, I wore the I'm going to the show to watch the show. And then Sunday, I went out there with the hat of city official, looking at trying to figure out what we can do better, or what the Red Mountain Event Center can do better for next time, because it is a partnership with them in a lot of ways. We want to see them be successful because of what these events bring to our city. Yes, they do bring traffic, definitely will bring traffic out there, but that is good and bad in a lot of ways. We've also probably had a lot of traffic out in the businesses, a lot of people, foot traffic for the restaurants, foot traffic for the grocery stores, foot traffic for a lot of those businesses. So that was good too. But definitely lots to learn from this event. Again, they hadn't seen anything like this in 17 years. I don't think they've ever seen anything of this size ever out there. So lot of things we learned from, but it was a lot of fun. Got a lot of feedback from community members. 98% of it is positive, loved it. And then the 2%, we definitely need to focus on some of those things to get all the wrinkles ironed out and issues ironed out. So Lloyd, thank you for your comments. Appreciate those. And just be patient with us, and we'll get Red Mountain Event Center there so that hopefully in the future it won't be a problem. Roscoe, do you want to touch on the other items the mayor mentioned?
Yeah, so the improvements that are going to be happening, Lloyd, out there on SR 224, we've partnered with WashDOT, and we have Connecting Washington. So there's $26 million to basically widen Van Giesen from basically Bombing Range all the way to Red Mountain Road as a 3-lane with a center turn lane, bicycle lanes, curb gutter sidewalks, street lights, bus pullouts. So that's currently under design with DOT and scheduled to be constructed in 2024. As part of that, we'll be doing some water and sewer infrastructure in that corridor, extending water and sewer. Before that roadway project, we'll be doing that in 2023. The other thing, council on the consent agenda approved a purchase and sale agreement with Benton REA. Part of that and the conditions of that was partnering with them to obtain a curb grant to help with some of the infrastructure improvements needed for that lot for Benton REA. And one of those things is off of Keene Road, there'll be what we're calling cooperative way that will be on the backside of the raceway that comes off of Keene Road to the substation in the back. And that will provide a secondary access into the raceway. And that will be constructed next year. And so that will be a great relief that there won't be just one way in and out. But yeah, they're aware of it. Again, the city leases that site to Friends of Red Mountain Center. So they're responsible for the traffic control. We're going to give them a little bit of assistance to help them get some things cleaned up. You know, as far as traffic control at the intersection of Keene and Van Giesen, we're going to use our contacts with DOT to help them get a traffic control plan out there. Very similar to how we assist the chamber with hogs and dogs. So like I said, there are a bunch of volunteers doing a great job. Just didn't anticipate the the turnout. So we'll work with them and they'll get better. And but yeah, those are some of the improvements to look forward, and that'll be happening in the next few years to improve the situation out there.
Yeah, do you have a comment before I moved on the agenda?
Actually, and I'm going to be one of those people. Mayor, you said that this wasn't going to cost us anymore, especially with the lease that we're giving them. But we've got staff time, we're fixing roads, we're fixing this. So I guess that's my comments. I mean, that 26,000 that was going to go in the park is going to be eaten up. And I was kind of afraid of that. So that's my comment on that.
Okay, all right. So with that, we'll go ahead. Thank you, Lloyd, again for your comments and staff for your response. We will go ahead and move on to items 8A, B, and C as a public hearing on the 2021 comprehensive plan amendments and subsequent rezones and the ordinances adopting them. Community Development Director Eric Mendenhall will go ahead and present his staff report this evening. You're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you guys can bear with me, it sometimes takes a minute for my screen to share. All right, does everyone see the plan up there, or do I need to?
Yeah, you've got the whole PowerPoint with the slide separate on the side. You know, full screen it.
All right, let's see if
just push a little presentation button down at the bottom right. Over a couple.
Bottom right.
And then over to the left just a hair. There's a little slideshow screen that, yeah, there you go. Does that do it?
No.
Oh, my apologies.
Well, here, maybe I'll just do this, make it bigger.
There, that's.
Does that work for you?
Does that work for everybody?
There you go. Okay.
Well, let's do it this way.
Adapt, improvise, and overcome. Perfect.
That's what you got to do sometimes. So what we're talking about this evening is the 2021 comprehensive plan amendments. We received 5 applications at the beginning of this year for 5 different map amendments. One of those is being pushed into next year, and that's for the properties north of Rupert Road, just because of the amount of analysis and other things going on with that with the property owner. So that is continuing on. It isn't completely dropped. We're actually continuing to work with them on that, and we'll have more to discuss with the council in the meetings to come. So we have 4 map amendments that are being brought this evening and 1 text amendment that will be brought. The text amendment is for gridded street patterns, and I'll go through all of these and touch on them, show you where they're at in the presentation so you can see where these are. So map amendment 1, you can see that over here in the south of Rupert Road. This is the Keene Road that goes up and connects to Rupert Road. So there was a remnant piece of property. Last year, there was a rezone that was done for the properties north of that. And this was just a remnant piece. So it's pretty much just cleaning up that part. Map amendment 2 is over here. It's about 10 foot wide. And then there's a little triangle piece at the end, which was a purchase of residential zoned property. The desire is to zone that commercial, and that would become the landscape area for the commercial property that's to the south of it. And then map amendment 4 is next to Yokes, just north of Yokes. Map amendment 5, I'm going to go in more detail on all of these here in a moment. Map amendment 5 is just a swap of zoning for some property. Oops. So map amendment 1, it's just over 2 acres in size. Again, it's currently zoned multifamily. The idea is to zone it this green color, which is RM6, which is consistent with the approved plat for the Red Mountain Heights, or the Heights at Red Mountain, and the development plan that they have for those properties. So that one's more of a cleanup than anything. Right now that sits out in the middle of that farm circle, which is being graded currently for the growth that's happening out at the Heights. Map amendment 2, as I said, it's just this 10-foot sliver right through here, and then it does a triangle piece here to connect to the corner up there. And that would be rezoned from RL40 to commercial limited. And that would be to provide the landscape buffering strip between the residential property next door to the commercial property to the south. Because we do require 10 foot of landscaping to transition from residential to commercial zones. And that piece is just narrow in size. As you can see, there's the narrow size of it there, and it would be, oops. It would be that property along the edge of it. But that's where it's at, Kennedy and Keene area. Map amendment 4, and I didn't forget 3. 3 is the one that we pushed into next year. Map amendment 4, this is the one that's next to Yokes. It's just over 2¼ acres. It's being rezoned from high intensity commercial to medium density residential 6. So that same green color that you saw on the map for the first one. And this is the location of that. You've got a church here and then some vacant land. This would allow for tighter density homes here in the RM6, which is 6,000 square foot lots between Yokes and the larger lot developments to the north, and be a good location for homes next to the transit, to Yokes, the school, and churches and other services. And the map amendment 5 is about 35.2 acres in size. This is an acre for acre swap between the existing multifamily that splits there along Paradise to move it over to be south of the elementary school. And this is the same property owner. He's coming in with subdividing the land there. And because of it being on a hillside, it was more difficult to build multifamily than it would be single family there. So the ask was just to swap square footage for square footage of the zoning. And that's the approximate locations for where that would happen. They do have development plans for the properties along Paradise. They have no plans at this time other than continuing to farm there next to Belmont and the elementary school. The text amendment that's proposed, this is to create a policy that would ask for gridded street patterns when new developments come in, limit cul-de-sacs to those areas where topography or there's some other impediment that doesn't allow for connectivity, but would require gridded street patterns for new developments. You know, and I brought this to the CD subcommittee. We had quite an extensive conversation regarding this. The main reasons we want to do this is to create redundancies in the systems. And I'm not just talking about transportation systems, but also the water systems and the sewer systems. It allows for loops to be created so that you don't get the sediments sitting at the end of the cul-de-sac sitting there and dirtying the water. It allows for better connectivity for emergency response So they're able to get to places and be able to not have issue with that. You've got the ability for the snow plows to get through streets. When you've got cul-de-sacs, they end up pushing snow and aren't able to really snow plow the cul-de-sacs because of the issues that are there. And parking at the end of the cul-de-sacs, always not fun, and creates safety and hazard problems for the street and system. So we're asking council at this time to implement a policy in the comprehensive plan that would promote the gridded street patterns. And I want to touch on this for John, make sure that this is known that the gridded street patterns aren't going to be rigid, that they have to be gridiron street patterns, which is north, south, east, west grid patterns, but there could be organic or loose grid types that we're just looking for gridded street patterns. And that could be any type of gridded street pattern. A lot of that would depend upon the development and the topography constraints that the development might have, or that it's right up against the main arterial or a collector type street that you want to have homes backed up to. So wanted to bring that forward as well. Planning Commission reviewed this. They all support this and recommend council to approve. And with that, I'll end my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Eric. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing up at 6:26. And if anyone would like to provide comment, please raise your hand, virtual hand, or your press *9 on your phone, and Stephanie will recognize you, unmute you, and you could state your name and residency for the record and provide your comments. I see no one. Stephanie, do you?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, looks like Paul has his hand up there.
All right, perfect. Under the wire. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yep, we've got both of you.
Okay, good deal. Just so I am clear, I was trying to pay attention there. We're talking about all of the items that Eric presented just now, including all the comp plan amendments. So we can speak to any one of those. I really only had one matter to speak in favor.
Yes, that's correct. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so it was, I believe he had it listed as number 2 on the map, where it was changing some residential 40 to commercial limited. And that's over off of Kennedy and Keene. My client is Tim Bush. He's got the development going on there that it's now reached its maximum. And so he's kind of going to the west and trying to bring some more commercial property into the city. He's got that car wash there. There's the Goodwill and a Roasters across the street, Budget Blinds, and then an RV place. Having this comp plan amendment and this zone change certainly helps out. The way that the geometry of that particular lot that's left that he has that is ripe for development right there is a really long and skinny lot. And so it makes it really challenging, difficult to develop that to its full potential and put a typical commercial type building in there. And so with the addition of this extra 10 feet, that really helps, because as Eric was talking about, the landscape buffer that's required anyway adjacent to residential is that 10 foot. And so I'm speaking in favor of that, and I hope that it's taken favorably, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? I see no one else. Stephanie, do you?
I do not.
Okay. With that, I will close the public hearing at 6:29. And next up is the ordinance 2521 approving the 2021 comprehensive plan amendments. Do I have a motion for ordinance 2125?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir,
I move to approve the ordinance in question. I do not have the document with the words in front of me, but I move to approve the ordinance in question.
I second that.
Thank you, Kate.
Stephanie, is that acceptable to use the language that is in the document without being said?
To clarify, I believe that Mr. Buell is referring to ordinance 2521.
That is correct.
Okay, very good. I have a motion and I have a second. Council, you have questions of staff or conversation amongst yourselves? I see Gail, you got your hand up.
Yeah, on this land switch, did we go ahead and give notice? I don't remember. Give notice to all the neighborhood that was getting switched, or did we just switch it?
We did send out notice to all of the property owners within 600 feet of each of these map amendments. So everyone was notified. There was notification on our website as well. And I had several people in the Belmont neighborhood give me a phone call and talk to me about it. So I know they received their mailings.
Okay. And I get that little grid thing on the streets, but it kind of looks Stepford wife type. But that's just probably the easiest, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. Yes, I just want to make a comment that especially that text amendment, I really appreciate that being put in there. That's something that I hope that we can really start to get back to, because I think it's really important for the reasons that you mentioned, having not just the ability to have more than one way to get into a neighborhood for redundancy, but for emergency reasons, for infrastructure purposes. I'm really glad we're working in that direction. I know that in Pasco, Mr. Gonzalez has been working with that. So good job. Thank you very much.
And Councilman Smart.
Yes, Mayor, Council, citizens, I just want to comment that it would be I would encourage us to take on a goal to quickly reconsider the full 35-acre set a piece of land for high density housing. I want to just repeat on the record that I think that should be divided up and split up. I don't like the idea of the possible environment we could establish with 35 acres of high density housing. So it could be really great. It could be a nightmare. We need to discuss this soon. And I want to really make sure that it doesn't adversely impact our citizens. The other thing I just want to mention for those that are in the audience is that one of the reasons we can't find the ordinance language very easily is because we're working with an 833-page document this week. So I don't know about all the rest of you, but my computer is a little bit slow when it comes to working through that large of a document in a PDF file. So I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Councilman Fetto, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just I'm part of the CD committee, and we talked about specifically the parcel that Mr. Knudsen has mentioned about and Tim is involved in. To be clear, the neighbor behind, when we looked at that sliver, was on top of somebody else's house. The neighbor behind that's being affected isn't in favor of this. So just so whenever we looked at that map, it looked like that where we're showing that land back, it's sitting on their patio. Just that neighbor back, I asked that question, the neighbor behind that is in favor of this move. So when you're looking at that zoning change, the house that's impacted is in favor.
Yep, David, just to add to that, he did show up to the planning commission hearing and commented and testified in favor of it as well. So, yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Bloom.
I wanted to mention two things. One was I was able to find the language. It doesn't mention the ordinance number, but that's beside the point. I firmly agree with the concept of minimizing cul-de-sacs. Cul-de-sacs are a parking nightmare and a neighborhood parking issue.
Can't hear you, Richard. You sit closer to your microphone, please.
Okay. I said cul-de-sacs are not only a are a parking nightmare and a neighborhood argument issue because there's really no on-street parking. And it also causes very large backyards, which would be a lot of irrigation issues. So I support that amendment. And as far as the high density, we are dividing up the city into parts and pieces, and that's one of the parts. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing no one, council, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving on to ordinance 2621, 2021 rezones to implement comprehensive plan. I have a motion for that. So moved would be just fine.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Very good. Council, any other questions, comments as we move forward? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, council. And then moving on, we have resolution 4621 opposing imposition of a local income tax. That item 8D is that item, and I'll ask Aaron to provide us with a staff report.
So at the request of the mayor, staff has prepared a resolution opposing the imposition of a local income tax in West Richland. There are currently no cities in Washington imposing a local option, as it is believed to be an illegal tax under Washington state law. However, there was a recent case, I think Kunis versus City of Seattle from 2019 has called that assumption into question. Washington state, where am I? So the Supreme Court has denied a request for an appeal for that decision. And as a result, this ruling is standing at this time. In response, to this case, several cities have taken action to show their opposition to local income tax, including City of Spokane, Spokane Valley, City of Battleground, Granger, City of Kennewick, and City of Richland. This resolution would do the same for West Richland.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to speak to this motion this evening? If so, please raise your hand or *9 on your phone. I see none. Stephanie, do you see anyone?
I do not.
Okay. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve resolution 4621, a resolution of the city of West Richland opposing imposition of a local income tax on the residents and businesses of the city of West Richland.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, any questions in regards to this or comments in regards to this particular item? I see Councilmember Moran, you have your hand up.
Thank you. I just really quickly want to say that, well, on one hand, I definitely agree. I think it would be silly to have an income tax. I am a bit concerned with as much things as we've got going on, that we've spent time on this non-issue. But you know what? If we're just going to do it as a, hey, this is how we feel, then fine. But I just think it was kind of silly to put time on this. Thank you.
I think we probably had about an hour into it. It was a cut and paste off of other ordinances, staff report, and we just read it. So maybe less than that, but thank you for your comment. And I felt it was very important that we put in place protection of such a ridiculous unfunded mandate that a city could put on our citizens. So I wanted to make sure I watched out, as well as council, for the best interest of our citizenry. Mr. Bloom?
Yes, I found that the decision that was brought forward was interesting, saying that it wasn't a income tax, it was actually a tax on your income as a property tax, which brings forth whether we will be looking for a resolution to block cities from taxing your net worth or something of that nature. Anyway.
Property tax.
Okay, thank you. Very good. With that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving on, we have no unfinished business this evening or new business. So this is the opportunity for citizen public comment. Second time this evening. If you'd like to provide comment to council or staff, please raise your hand. And the clerk will call on you, unmute you, and you can address council. I see that we do have, nope, they're gone. Okay. Stephanie, do you see anyone?
I do not see anyone.
Okay. Very good. Going ahead and moving on to staff council reports. We'll go ahead and start with, I see Councilmember Brown. She has her hand up. Ken.
I had already talked about the mapping, but this was a list of what you can put on it: water line needs, code enforcement, fire hydrants, land use map, planning maps, utility background, water, sewer, streets, pictures of videos that are taken of the sewer lines. So it has a lot of capacity. And Eric, did we call any of the businesses to see how much extra business they got this last weekend?
It's Tuesday, Gail. There's not a whole lot of time in the day to do all that, right? I haven't yet. No, I haven't been able to reach out to them and see, but I heard that pit stop was packed full from people that attended and went there. Said that they were running out of drinks down at pit stop. Yeah, so yeah, I could only imagine how they all fared. But I'll be reaching out to them to figure out how that affected them.
Thank you.
Councilman Bloom?
Yes, just a few items. One is, you know, I have been up here long enough that I remember the racetrack running, and the noise up at my place was actually, as I remember it, was actually quieter over the weekend than back in 17 years ago. Maybe they've toned down the cars a little bit. Anyway, coming up at the end of October, Ben Franklin Transit will be implementing fares again. So they've used up all their COVID funding to offset that. And that's part of the aspect that I bring up of us rebating some of the COVID funding to some of our utility customers who were impacted. One bit of trivia I will point out to Eric. I have learned the hard way, never, and I repeat, never do a PowerPoint. Always convert it to an Adobe and run through the Adobe pages.
No taking.
Last but not least, I will be missing the middle of November, or at least as of now, I will be missing the city council meeting in the middle of November unless we cancel it. And hopefully I'll be back for the first one in the beginning of December.
Okay. All right. And Richard, they run mufflers on those cars now as a requirement for noise abatement, and then also with the retaining walls around the perimeter of track, it helps reflect the sound. So they're making strides, because as racetracks, they used to be out in the middle of nowhere. Now the residents have grown into them in many areas, so they make those efforts. So yeah, I hear
it definitely sounded muffled.
Yeah, muffled. Okay, thanks. We appreciate the comments. Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. Yes. Two things that I wanted to just mention. One, of course, everybody is aware it is sign season because it's election season. And I just wanted to remind folks that if your signs are in West Richland and they are 16 square foot in area or larger, it's either that or if it's just larger than, I think it's larger than 16 square foot in area, you have to submit a permit. It is a free permit, but you have to submit a permit to the city, and you have to have it either be in the public easement, or if it's on private property, the private property owner must sign it as well. It is free. It's for 90 days. You can get it extended. It's in our code, in the municipal code, so you can give it a look. Make sure you get permits for your signs, because seeing a lot of signs up, and I don't think anybody's has permits except for the ones that I know of. Other than that, I don't know if anybody else is hoping to do this, planning on doing this, but if folks have an area where they're wanting to go to native plants, like maybe they have a yard, a large area, large space that has been inundated with weeds, especially cheatgrass, star thistle, goat head, anything like that, you can work with the Benton County Noxious Weed Control Board and the Benton Conservation District. They can help you find ways to go from the weeds and try and get to native plants. They aren't going to pay for the seeds, but they are going to help you find a way to get rid of the weeds and find solutions for what seeds might work best so that you can put in native plants if you would like to. And again, that's the Benton County Noxious Weed Board, or Noxious Weed Control Board, and the Benton County Conservation District. Thank you.
Councilman Buell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Two things. First of all, it has been literally 17, it's probably 20 years since I was out at the racetrack, and I just was not able to go over on the weekend, but I did make it out on Friday. And the work that's been done out there to turn that place into what it is today, you know, I understand the traffic concerns, but boy, what a great first event, watching all the cars run around, the sounds, the people. So a lot of people, I think, that hadn't seen racing in a long time, and they sure came out there, and they came out and drove. So to the group that put it on, and to all the people that helped support it, thank you very much for your work. The last thing I wanted to say is I wanted to personally thank Councilmember Fetto. He has been pinch hitting for me as the West Richland liaison to the Visit Tri-Cities Board of Directors during their strategic planning retreat process. It's a lengthy process, and I know that Councilmember Fetto will be with the city after my term expires this year, talking with him as my alternate and getting a word from the mayor as well. We in the Visit Tri-Cities Board felt that he would be certainly able to provide a good incentive, a good perspective moving forward for West Richland and what we were hoping to get from Visit Tri-City. So Councilmember Fetto, thank you very much for sitting in for me during that strategic planning process. Mr. Mayor, back to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. That sounded like a baseball announcer's pitch. Back to you. Okay. I don't see any other council members roll into staff. I see Roscoe, you can go ahead and swing away.
Yeah. Just give council an update. We've been pretty good as far as getting grants the last couple of weeks. Some of the press has gotten out there. So the CURB, Department of Commerce, we were successful in obtaining the $200,000 grant with a $600,000 loan for Cooperative Way associated with the Benton RA purchase and sale agreement. We were also successful in obtaining $200,000 grant through the RCCF program through Benton County. And so those agreements will be forthcoming at the next council meeting, or first one in November. We also got an ecology grant, stormwater. The acronym's GROSS, but I can't tell you what it stands for. Anyway, it's in our NPDES stormwater permit. We're required to do an effectiveness study. You know, basically doing studies for ecology to determine how to regulate stormwater. So this is what we did that interlocal with the other cities. You know, there's a big push for swales, grass line swales. They work very well on the west side of the state where it rains, but on the east side of the state, you have to water them constantly and mow them and maintain them. And so we put together, well, Drew did, our city engineer, for the whole 4 cities. And so we're going to do an effective study to see if we can get effective treatment without the grass. So basically do the nice rock on the side with amended soil under the rock on the bottom and see if we can get the same results without having to irrigate and maintain grass. And probably take a few of Kate's native plants and put in there too. But so we'll be doing that work actually behind the shop here. So we're going to use some area here where our maintenance guys do that. Ecology's footing the full bill. So it's about $297,000 effectiveness study. And we're hoping to prove to them that we don't need manicured grass that's mowed and whatever to do that. And I'm sorry, Councilmember Bloom, I'm going to take a shot at you. The cars probably sounded quieter because it's 17 years. Your hearing's probably gotten a little worse, but I couldn't resist. Anyway, they are muffled though. They are muffled. So, but couldn't resist that one. That's all.
I was thinking of that, but I couldn't say it because
Hey, Roscoe, you just rather than not replace the grass with goat heads, they grow without water.
They get thick. You know, in the that's terrible. And
it'll keep people from off of it.
It's true. That's true.
Okay. Gail, did you have something that would comment that Roscoe is bringing forward?
Roscoe, do we do dry wells anymore?
Yeah, we still do. They're still allowed in the Eastern Western Storm Manual. You just have to do deeper borings to make sure you've got the separation from the bottom of the dry well to the groundwater level. So you have to have that separation. So they're still allowed. You have to, we already do it. You have to have catch basins with 90s to catch oil and sediment before it goes into it. So a lot of stuff that we've already implemented. But again, Ecology pushes these swales and grassline stuff. So
but can
they're
we
still allowed.
Possibly look at dry wells with that money or no, they don't do
no,
that?
this is specifically to, we know dry wells are effective, but we want to see if we can do swales with rock rather than having and native plants rather than Bermuda grass that has to be mowed.
I just know a couple of places where it gets, that could stand them, but if they don't pay for that.
Yeah, no, this is very specific. And the cool thing is it meets the requirement in our MPDS that we're required to do. And Ecology's paying for 100% of it.
Okay. That's your question. Oh, Gail, where did you go? Oh, when you put your hand down, you move. You gotta chase you around. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to staff comments. I'm gonna go ahead and take a swing first. If I could, just to follow up, Gail, and I had made a commitment that we weren't gonna be spending taxpayer dollars for renovation, investment into the properties. However, staff will support in any manner that we do with Hogs and Dogs, Veterans Day Parade, as far as organizing or planning. That's something that we do for multiple other venues that we have in our city. So that is all that the staff is getting involved in, is try to assist them in some planning. So we do it with other organizations and we'll do it with this one, but we're not brick and mortar and anything on that property, just for clarification. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I wanted just to go back to the race over the weekend. Again, awesome event. I will have a better report for you. We are meeting with them, like I said, on Thursday. We're going to go through the good, bad, and ugly with them and talk about those things. For Kate, I want you to know that they had some xeriscaping out there, some lovely silk flowers. They planted at the entrance. It was great. You don't have to water silk flowers. So they had those up. And John, you've always voiced this concern to me, which was of noise. For the record, I've only received 2 complaints on noise over the weekend events. And one of those, she rescinded her complaint and said that we addressed it and it was wonderful. And she's so excited the races were here. The other one, I phoned her back and I never heard back from her. Voicemail wasn't set up, so I couldn't leave a voice message. But while I was out there taking noise readings throughout the community, I did have people approach me because I'm in the city rig with a little, micro or little fuzzball on the end of a stick thing, and I'm standing there. So people are coming up to me, wondering what I was doing and asking me questions. And man, I just had so many people come up and just thank you, thank the city council, thank the mayor for letting this event come back to the Tri-Cities. Just went out on Facebook and on Nextdoor app. And again, 98% of the comments were, wow, this was fantastic. Yes, there were some issues. I'm not going to turn a blind eye to the parking, to the traffic, to some of the other things that went on that needed to be addressed, right? But that's part of the learning from these things. This is the first time we've ever had an event like this in the Tri-Cities, or at least in West Richland. And so definitely learning from all of these things, getting together with Grego, with Roscoe, with, so we have Public Works, Planning, Police, and Fire. We're all going to be sitting down with RME, with the Red Mountain Event Center and having a chat with them on Thursday and just going through all of the good, bad, and ugly with them. And hopefully at the next meeting, I'll have a better report for you all as far as how everything went down, what this did for the local economy, and be able to answer some of those questions that Gail, you had, and I'm sure other council members had. But man, what a cool event. Like I said, most of what I've got, and like I said, when I was out there exposed to the community, just holding something up, people coming up to me and just thanking you guys for doing this, and thanking the council and mayor for making sure that we could have these racing events back in our community. So that's all I wanted to share. Just big thank you.
And before I go to Captain Grego, I do want to make mention that I forgot that I asked anybody, I was part of the grand opening deal or the opening ceremonies. And I thank each and every one of you, not by name, and staff. And I also ask that, they go out to Facebook, the city Facebook page, police Facebook page, and the city website, and make comments. So go search around out there and see what was said. I've had voicemails left on my phone here, thanking whoever brought forth this revitalization. So yeah, it's pretty stellar. Actually, it was quite a moving event for some of these people that met their spouses out there, or their grandpas ran, and their fathers, and now the kids are there. So it was a big part of our community back in the 60s. And I remind people that it's not about racing, it's about the event center as a whole and what it's going to bring in other events other than motorsports. Motorsports happens to just be an asset they have with a half-mile asphalt around the perimeter that they may use 3 or 4 times a year. So a lot of good responses. And again, thank you, council, for having faith in these guys, because 100 and some days they pulled off an absolute miracle, almost as much of a miracle as beating the Red Sox. You know what I mean? So Kate, you have your hand back up.
Yes, I just wanted to comment on that, the racetracks. I've heard a lot of good things about it. The one thing other than the traffic that I've heard is the concern people had about the, because of the amount of people there, the lack of social distancing and the lack of masks. I know that it's outdoors, but the mandate does say that outdoors things that have limited space and past a certain amount of people should be wearing masks, or must be, I can't remember the wording, but hopefully that's something that'll be in the good, bad, and ugly report that they'll be discussing. Yeah. So
what they did have, Kate, is they posted the state mandate, social distancing, promotion, so on and so forth. Any event that you have, how do you police something like that? That's the challenge I think that everybody has that's putting on events, whether it's county fairs, Benton County Fair, Yakima Fair, you know, all these things, Hogs and Dogs, Cool Desert Nights. You know, just, you got to throw it out there and let people make the best judgment. So yeah, I hear you. It's difficult in regards to that, but life.
I think that it's slightly a little bit more than just people using best judgment, seeing as it's an actual requirement to do that. But I hear what you're saying. I just feel like events should be trying to make sure that they're enforcing the rules, because I mean, we're run by rule of law, so hopefully everybody's following them.
Okay. Captain Grego, I saw your hand up.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Mayor, thank you so much, council members. I appreciate it. Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Eric said also. I was out there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I did not go. However, all 3 days I was in contact with my team for any type of calls or anything that were going on out there, and I stayed in the loop the whole weekend. I thought it was a great event also. Obviously, thank you, Eric, for inviting me to the meeting to sit at the table and discuss those things that went on. We had minimal calls out there, 6 traffic complaints on Saturday, only 2 on Sunday. I know that there was people that were upset about that traffic stuff, but we'll discuss that stuff. A couple of the things I just kind of wanted to share with you guys about the PD right now. Camera deployment for body cameras went in effect October 1st. So we are wearing body cameras now, got all that implemented. So that's being taken care of. I want to say thank you to Stephanie for all of her help. I could not have done this without her. The team could not have done this without her. There was a lot of moving parts with this stuff, and I don't want to go into it because it's going to take so long to go into this stuff. There was a lot of moving parts. She was the key part for the whole thing. So thank you, Stephanie. I really appreciate it. I want to do a shout out for that. Tomorrow, with the chief on vacation, I approved the no shave October and November. We did not include December this year. That was a recommendation of the association. So anybody that's taking part of that will be donating. I won't say the amount of money, it doesn't matter, individually to the United Way. And if they bought pink badges, they'll be wearing that in recognition of cancer awareness, as well as pink patches for anybody that has those shirts and purchase those also. So that's been approved today. So starting tomorrow, you'll start seeing officers growing their beards. This year, they'll do a little different. At the end of it, they plan on doing a shave off. I've never heard of this, so this is kind of cool. Where at the end of this thing, they do a shave. They have people donate see the officer get shaved off, I don't know, clean up and finally get back to normal. So anyway, we'll raise more money for the United Way. So good for the association to come forward and ask for it. And I approve that today. I also wanted to just comment, Mayor, you're talking about partnerships and stuff, about the Veterans Day Parade. We take part in that planning process every year. The Hogs and Dogs, everything that goes on in West Richland, everybody knows that. But I'll tell you one partnership, this partnership we've had for so long is for National Night Out. It's a law enforcement event that we obviously do every year. And it wasn't for those partnerships that we have in this region and in our department, our city, there's no way we'd pull it off. Hogs and Dogs is huge. Everybody knows it's been there. So anyway, so it goes both ways for our partnership, but we definitely try to take care of business. I believe that's about all I have for tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Captain Grego. And then when Chief Majetic gets back, I'll have to have a conversation with him and tell him he has to speak just a little bit longer to keep up with the Energizer Bunny, Captain Grego. Right on. Okay, perfect. With that, council, we're going to go ahead and adjourn into an executive session as per RCW 4230-110-1C to consider minimum price to which real estate will be offered for sale. About a 15-minute time frame with no action to follow. So we'll give Stephanie a few to wish everyone a good night and thank you from the audience, and then we'll come back in and continue on with our executive session.
Hey, before I forget, Fred,